Easy everyone. So in this tutorial we are going to be focusing on the early sound of two-step, and I've created a track here which we're going to go through, and I'm going to talk to you as always when we do this sort of thing about the sources of the samples, because I think that that's so important. We're also going to look at each of the elements that makes up this tune, and I'm also going to give you this tune as a free download just for the members exclusively as well. So if you're into two-step, this might be a tune that you want to download. So the influence that I've taken from this tutorial has come from artists like LB and Groove Chronicles, which is a duo with LB. And yeah, just sort of that era of two-step really. I used the track Ghost, which is an alias of LB, came out in 2000, called The Club as a reference for this tune, just loosely. And yeah, I just sort of thought, with there being a garage competition this month in November, it'd be good to just focus on garage a little bit. But also, I know that there's quite a few members who are into making garage, and so yeah, two-step is something that is a big part of that. So it should be useful for a few of you. So first of all, let's have a little listen to LB's stuff. Now, LB is massively important, not only in the garage scene, but also he was heavily involved with the way that garage changed towards the early 2000s, and the two-step, the dark two-step sound that LB was massively involved in pushing forward, that eventually became dubstep. So he is massively important as an artist, still operating, making tunes, and playing out a lot. Really sound guy as well. But yeah, just an incredible producer and really unique sound that was so influential in UK bass music. So what I wanted to do was to just have a little look through a few of his tunes. So let's listen to this one here. So like the early dubstep sound, the production's really sparse. So there's lots of space in the groove for different things, and there's lots of swing. And with two-step, it's on the offbeat and it's almost like half time. So you've not got that 4/4 kick all the way through. So that's something really important. If you wanted to make two-step, you're almost making a breaky drum pattern with loads of swing. There's lots of ghost snares, and everything sort of plays off each other in the arrangement. Really dry, sparse productions. And those little breaks in the arrangement and in the drum patterns especially, are really good to fill things in and throw the beat off. So you'll hear in the track that I've done that I've sometimes taken a kick out at the start of the bar, and we've got like a little sample in there. Those little tricks are really important if you wanted to achieve this style. And obviously the bass goes without say. It's like sampled square wave bass lines, slightly detuned, that sort of thing. But to be honest, there's plenty of samples out there, and we'll have a look at the ones that I've used. So you don't need to know about sound design to be able to create tunes like this.
I'm the one that dipped and leave a sun hit. I'm anything like her eyes
Stick the gun, yo.
Just wicked productions with loads of groove. This is a really good record as well. Just loads of space with the bass lines for things to fit in, and also the Rhodes and like sampled keys and things like that. There's one particular tune on this track on this record called L's Groove that I really like. Such a nice groove, but slightly different to his usual stuff. But yeah, cool record to check out. Also, if you just listen to like Groove Chronicles, you'll really hear the way that it sort of grew into dubstep from this, really. This is a wicked tune. Again, like so dry and there's so much room and space. It's really sort of tight production. So there's really short drum hits, lots of space.
Watch this.
So this was 1999. This was before dubstep, but you could really hear how this had an influence on it. Wicked tune, and this is a massive tune as well. You can hear those Rhodes in there, a bit more melodic this one. But there was a remix of this done that came out on Entity a while back, and it's like I think it was the Lost Act edit. It was just class. Almost made it like a minimal house tune. Really good record, and there's a broken version on that. So yeah, really just seminal productions, proper good tunes. But there's loads of two-step that I could sort of put you on and show you here. But really, let's just dive in and just take a listen to what I've come up with. So I've pretty much done a full arrangement. It's about 4.5 minutes now. These tracks tend to be quite short. They're mixed very quickly. And so I'll just flick through the arrangement and I'll just play most of it, but just so you can get a feel for the tune. Okay, yeah, so you can see that I've taken influence from that LB track that I played you before. Obviously, it's like not completely the same, but I built this in probably about an hour, maybe just slightly longer than that, and I just wanted to use it as an example, really, to show you how you could go about doing it. I think you know, you could take these tools and you could build tracks that are, you know, you could spend a lot more time on, that would be a lot more detailed, and the groove might be a lot better, but ultimately it's just to show you how I'd go about doing it. So I guess we should start with the drums. So if I just solo the drum track here. And then there's little breaks that I spoke about here. And then these little fills with this little kick roll. And you'll see there's little variations in where I drop things out. Well, it's quite simple really, and there's quite a few layers to it. So I'll start with the kick, and I'll show you where I got all the samples from as well. So it's quite a punchy kick, but there's not too much bottom end. So if you're looking to make stuff like this, I wouldn't go for a really subby low end kick, because we're going to leave that for our bass line to occupy those frequencies. So this kick in particular, I got from I've got a few sample packs in here actually, which I was using to build this. So Connect D Audio two-step garage anthems, the Loop Masters UK Garage one's good. There's a Sample Magic one, Soul Rush, and Test Press. These are all two-step specific sample packs, but this one in particular came from the Connect D Audio sample pack here. It's got all your stabs and things like that, like little vocals.
To my bubbling crew, garage bass,
which are nice to fill things out. Also little loops. And but basically I used a lot of the one-shot hits in here. So the kicks, I think it's the Boyish kick, yeah, that one. But if you listen to it there compared to there, got a bit more kick, a bit more punch to it. So I rolled out all the subs from about 30 hertz, and then I used Ableton's drum bus and I pushed up the crunch a little bit, because I just find that it just gives it a bit more power really. So if I take it off and then put it on, loads punchier and loads more character to it. So definitely recommend using the drum bus if you are looking to get more out of your drums. And then, yeah, in terms of the pattern, you got this. And then you'll see how it fits. And I use the Ableton MPC 3016th swing at 68%, and I find that a really nice swing to use for garage. And so it is heavily swung. And then you've got these little double kicks in there, which is lower velocities, this little kick roll at the end. But really simple stuff. So let's take a look at what else is going on in the drum group. So we've got this. It's almost like a housey top loop, which I found from the Loop Masters UK Garage and two-step sample pack. And I think if you take it out, so I built the drums and I felt I just needed to sound a bit fuller, so I use top loops sometimes to fill things out. So that's all my drums, and then you add this in. But it only happens in certain sections just to add a bit more energy. So yeah, that's that. In terms of the processing, there's nothing on that. We've got this main snare. Now, what I did was I put, we'll get to the processing on the group afterwards, but you can hear there's a bit of reverb on there. I also used the Sound Toys Decapitator on this and pushed a high, so not too much high cut, but just a little bit, and played with the tone a bit. And yeah, it just gives it a bit more. That's without. So saturation is a really good tool. And then I just rolled out some of the bottom end as well. And there's actually 3 different snare samples playing there. Quite a short one. So that one has come from the Connect D Audio two-step garage anthems. And then we've got these 2, which have come from the Loop Masters Modern UK Garage and Bass, which actually is not in the one that I showed you before, but in that pack there's some wicked like one-shot drums. So if you've heard my Oda 1 free EP that came on Instinct, most of the drums came from this. especially the snares. So I laid them up so there's 3 of them, so there's like a bit more power to it, decapitator and a bit of EQ. And then we've got these little ghost snares which fill in. And those ghost snares are really important. Where they go on the grid is not massively important, but as long as you've got the swing on and you just find in places where it works with the groove. So important. So yeah, and then just with the, again, it's got a bit of reverb on the group, and then I just took out the low end on that. And then we've got these tick hats which have come, and I find that that just keeps the energy rolling. So there's 2 different ones. And I mean, you can find samples like that really easily, but this has come from the 90s 2-step pack in that folder that I showed you before. And then what I found is, because these drums here are sounding good, but I feel like it could fill the space a little bit. So what I did was I created 2 different channels with these little, just these little fills, that sort of just little perks basically. And then really simple stuff, but you'll notice that when you add it into the drum group, it just adds a little something more. Fills out the space. And the reason it fills out the space is because I've sent it to a reverb on this return channel, and it's got like a 2-second decay on it, so they're just like the odd hits here and there, but they sort of really fill out the space. And then finally, just an extra top loop here, and the reason I use this in particular was because I really like the snare in it, and then this perk loop which happens at certain points. Just helps to fill things out, especially in certain sections. Then we've also got this little top texture, it's literally really subtle. And then finally, these bongos. So the processing on the drum channel, I've got this little plate which is from Sound Toys. The dry wet is so low, and it's just a preset on there, and the decay is as low as it'll go on there as well. So, but it just sort of, I'll take that off. Just sort of made it sound like it was in its own little space. And then finally the decimal on the whole group, just to glue it all together and to make it sound like it's a little less harsh in the tops, give it a little bit more of an analog feel. And an EQ, just take out any bottom end that we don't need. And that's it for the drums really, apart from these little fills which happen at certain points. I got these from the Sample Magic 2-step garage pack. Works really nice as a fill, that, so. So the second most important thing I think in the tune is obviously the bass. So let's have a listen to the bass on its own soloed. So I think with this, like with 2-step, it's really good to have multiple different like layers of bass line working with each other. So I tend to find different samples. So I started with this one, which is the main bass line, obviously. So what I did was I put that, it's from you'll have seen it if you watch the Speed Garage video. Basically, like there's 2 Speed Garage sample packs, and in there they both have these one-shot basses. So what I did was I loaded one into here and just played in a pattern. I added a bit of erosion on there, so it's just. So without the erosion, it doesn't really cut through. So I added that on, and then I also took out some of the super low end and boosted some of the sort of mids, really, just to pull it out a little bit, because I wanted it to sound like it's cutting through, especially on other systems. Then we've got this, it's called Fart Sub, which is like a little one shot, which happens at certain points. And that's actually come from an LB Garage sample pack, which is called LB Old School House and Garage, which is from Sample Phonics. Some really good one-shot bass sounds in there. And then we've got that, which has come from the Connect the Audio two-step garage anthems. I've just taken part of a loop. And the key's not too important, really. And then the same again here. And then a different bass sample on this channel, which has got an auto filter on with the LFO pushed up and the rate also at half there. Just a sweep through. So if I turn the filter off, just subtle, but and yeah, just finding space in the track for things to fit in. And then what I've done is I've put, what I tend to do with my bass is like really brick wall it around 30 hertz, so that you haven't got anything kicking about that doesn't need to be. And then the track spacer on there, where you have the attack fast and the release quite fast as well, and then tune the ratio to your ears so that that kick really cuts through the bass. So it's like. Okay, so then we've got these other sort of filler sounds, I like to call them, where they're just
speakers bumping,
vocals, stabs, little melodies.
speakers bumping, speakers bumping.
So we've got a little spin back, which has come from like a ragga pack here. It's like it's just in the groove, it works really nicely like this. So everything's sort of playing off each other there. So you've got, obviously you've got the drums, which have got their own little rhythm, but you've got this ragga effect, and then that chord as well. So yeah, just little things that just bounce off each other, I find work really well. So and then you've got, yeah, this is a nice little thing, a nice little chord actually, and that's come from the Sample Magic two-step garage pack, and that just fits at the end of the bar. And then we've got like this little dark garage thing, which has come from the LB sample pack that I mentioned before. This little vocal,
Speakers bumping,
which is a big part of the tune, that is from the LB sample pack. And then finally, so is this as well. And this too. Just nice little fillers to just fill out the space. We've got this Atmos loop as well, which what I did was I looped the start of it. So the loop sounds like this. And I liked that running all the way through. But there's certain parts of the loop like this. Sounds wicked. And then here. So I find little loops like that are really good to fill things out. And I found that on Loop Cloud by just typing in Atmos. And yeah, I just think it serves a really nice purpose, really, just to fill things out. And then I got this Road loop as well. Also from Loop Cloud, really good for roads loops and things like that. Sort of in different parts of the tune, but also the breakdown. So just on the subject of that drop, taking out the first kick and the drums and having something filling in its place like that is a really good way to start, and it's like off-kilter.
Speakers bumping.
It's about just taking things out and putting things in the arrangement and finding little gaps, and everything's just like off the groove. Really, it works really nicely. I also created some stabs of my own, just as an extra little melodic element. So I found loads of one-shot samples that are like stabs in key on Loop Cloud. I loaded them into a drum rack because I didn't want to pitch them. But what I wanted to do was to program them into a certain pattern. So there's like 3 different ones that bounce off each other. And I wanted to do it with the same swing as the drums. So I decided to use a drum rack. I also put an auto filter on there and just swept through the filters a little bit to give it some movement. And took out the low end on there as well and sent it to the reverb. And then finally, we've got this extra little Rhodes loop, which was also from Loop Cloud, which I just put in there towards the end of the track after the main drop, just to keep things interesting. So yeah, you can see it's pretty simple arrangement. It's all about taking things out and adding things in its place and just having groove and everything sort of just talking to each other and bouncing off each other in the arrangement. So yeah, hopefully that has been a useful watch if you're into making garage. If you've got any questions about the stuff that I've covered, or if you'd like to see me making two-step garage drums or a two-step garage tune from scratch, then do let me know on the Discord. But nice one. Cheers for watching, guys.